Welcome back. As you can see, we've started to go back together. I have the RS600 subframe painted to match the tunnel, and it turned out really nice. I have the engine back in, mocked up the exhaust, and now we're just making sure the wiring harness location is correct and all the hoses are hooked up. I like to put it together like this just to make sure I don't miss anything. Now we're going back together. I've kind of made a decision on shocks, at least for now. I have some stock Summit X ski shocks, and they're actually 2.2 pounds lighter than the stock Freeride KYB Pro 40s. This is a great shock. It has external compression adjustability, stiffer valving, and I was running heavier springs last year. But we're going for the lightest weight on the scale, and so far this is it. Another place I'm going to lose a bunch of weight is the muffler. The stock muffler is quiet, it sounds great, and it doesn't sacrifice performance to accomplish that goal. Skidoo really knocked it out of the park when they delivered this snowmobile. But I am trying to have a lighter snowmobile than Carl Kuster, so I bought this bad boy. It's actually unavailable to the public, unfortunately, but I was able to get my hands on one. It's the same muffler that Jay Menenberry and Blaine Matthews use in their open mod hill climb sleds. It's only 3 pounds versus the 16-pound stock muffler, but I know since it was engineered by the race shop, I'm not losing horsepower, which a lot of aftermarket mufflers do actually lose horsepower. So all you're gaining is an obnoxious snowmobile. This one is uninsulated, so I heat taped the inside of this panel so there's no melting later on down the road. Finally got the missing parts I've been waiting for. This part is really cool. It's real carbon fiber. I paid $1 million for it, and it makes the snowmobile float in the back. No, it didn't cost $1 million. This is fake carbon fiber. It's actually ABS. It was super cheap, but it's gonna do the trick to plug our little hole. So far it's going pretty good. I got 1/4-inch huck rivets from Skidoo, the stock ones they use in the tunnel during assembly. Actually broke our air riveter, so just a little bump in the road. We're gonna go get another air riveter and make sure we have the right size jaws in it. This riveter is 20 years old, so kind of got our money's worth out of it. So no big deal, we'll just figure it out and soldier forth. Since I broke the pneumatic riveter the other day, I ordered a hand riveter strong enough to pull 1/4-inch rivets. Hopefully I don't break this one too. So now I'm going to finish drilling the holes to finish securing the RS600 cooler to the Freeride frame. As you can see, I'm using a 1/4-inch drill bit, and I put a little piece of tubing onto the drill bit. This helps control depth, which isn't really important in this situation, but it's also going to protect the tunnel from getting scratched. Now that I'm running the 600 RS heat exchanger, with this crossover tube, the stock 10-gallon tank no longer fits. So I'm going to be running the 600 RS gas tank like I mentioned in the video before. It's 4.4 pounds lighter, which is right up our alley, and it's really helped centralize mass. I don't have any fuel sloshing to the back of the tunnel anymore, makes it better to ride. That's why the pro hill climbers and the snowcross guys all use this fuel tank. In order to get the stock 850 fuel pump into the 600 RS gas tank, I have to remove the float for the fuel indication level. It just unclips out of the body of the fuel pump, and the wiring harness disconnects, so I don't have any loose wires hanging out inside. There is an aftermarket fuel tank option that I'm probably going to buy just in case I want to go on really long rides, but for now I'm really excited to ride it with a small tank. Getting really close to final assembly here. Getting everything mocked up, making sure everything's going to fit, and make sure I put it back together correctly. I removed the air box out of the hood, and it saved me 3 pounds. The stock air intake on a Skidoo works really well, so the only reason I'm doing this is to save weight. I found a Boondocker Air Filter that I used to use on one of my old mod hill climbers. Previously we used to stick them right out of the hood. They're getting lots of cold air, but when we're hill climbing, generally not in deep powder, so restriction isn't an issue. I've ran these in the mountains on deep days, and sometimes they freeze to this outerwear material and start a rich condition. So I'm going to keep this under the hood. The obvious problem is it is going to be getting some hot air, but I'm hoping when I'm wide open it will reduce the relative pressure underneath the hood and still draw cold air through the air intake. And I save 3 pounds. The rear suspension is finally ready to go back in. We had a 146 skid built, but my carbon fiber rails just showed up and they're works of art. Carbon fiber rails, titanium hardware, got a carbon fiber rear scissor, carbon fiber wheels. The whole skid is about 6 pounds lighter than the other 146 skid, and we're about 15 or 16 pounds lighter than the 154 skid. So we're ready to go back in. Now we have the rear suspension back in, and really excited about this. This is a Mountain Valley Machine belt drive. I've been looking at them for a long time, but never really got the opportunity to run one. It's 4 pounds lighter, which is a huge savings, and it's really affordable on top of that. They use a one-piece pulley design, and that really simplifies things, less points of failure. The belt is stronger than a chain, and it's lighter. And since the pulleys are lighter, the belt is lighter than a chain, we have more horsepower to the ground, less rotating mass. I'm really excited to try this, and really excited to lose 4 pounds all at once. We've rode this sled a couple times, and it's been a lot of fun. I got these high clearance lower A-arms from Skidoo. Comes with the upper A-arms as well. And which is really cool is I bought some titanium hardware. I have all the A-arm bolts, the nuts, and the shock bolts, and I saved nearly half a pound by just going to the titanium bolts, and it looks really cool. As you can see, my lightweight is finally back together and it's ready to ride. I chose yellow, which is a big color change from a 2021 Freeride, but I wanted it to be distinguishable as a Skidoo from a long distance away, so yellow was a clear choice. I use an RS600 yellow nose cone, and Theme Motorsports hooked me up with that, and I think it looks great. As you can see, I got rid of the front bumper, and between the front bumper and all the foam inside the nose cone, I saved about 2 pounds, and that was a significant find. We settled on a 3.7-inch riser. It was half a pound lighter than the aftermarket risers I used last year, so that was another good find. I ended up with the Summit Expert seat. It was a pound lighter than the stock Freeride seat. And since I'm using the little tank, I have the Summit Mod seat base, and it looks really cool. It's hand-built in the race shop. It was a great addition to this project. As you can see, I'm not running a tail light for a couple different reasons. First one was a half a pound lighter to get rid of the tail light and the associated wiring harness. But there's nowhere to run the wiring harness with this RS600 subframe. The stock RS600 has a tail light and a seat, but it looks pretty cool this way. I'm running the stock Skidoo 146 track. It's a 2.5-inch, 2.86 pitch track, so I had to change the drivers, but 146 850 Skidoos come with 2.86 drivers, so I just got a used drive axle and it bolted right in there. And a few other things I didn't show you guys while I was assembling this thing. I got a handful of nylon hardware, some 5mm stuff. So the hood is held on by nylon hardware. I have titanium bolts in all the A-arms and the shocks, and I was able to save half a pound in just titanium hardware. So after all that, the big question is, how much does it weigh? Well, we weighed it 2 different ways. The first way we weighed it, it was empty of coolant because we changed the cooler. We pulled all the oil out of it, and it didn't have any gas in it. It came in at 430 pounds. So it's as dry as we could get it. The shock still had oil in it, and it still had some oil in the system, but we're really happy with that. We also filled it full of coolant, put the oil back in, and put a gallon of gas in it, and it's 446 pounds. I'm really excited. It was 505 pounds before we disassembled it, but that was full of coolant, full of oil, and it had 2 gallons of gas in it about. So, how much weight did we lose? I don't know, I'm no mathematician, but the sled's gonna be fun to ride.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to give this a big like and subscribe.